This room had dreams of being a Parisian boudoir, but other than a pillow that had the monogrammed words of Paris and a few flea market finds, well, we needed a few more things. We needed a pop of color, we needed some French window treatments, and of course a chandelier to become the creme de la creme.
Ah, ooh la la, what can you say? I mean, who wouldn't love Paris? The first time I went to Paris was on a total fluke, and went with a bunch of school teachers I worked with in Texas. And we were hooked. We just went for a long weekend.
I was going to say, you were only there for a weekend.
Just for a long weekend, but we were hooked and that just wasn't enough. So I've been back several times. Too many to count.
Too many. Once was enough for me.
No.
I wanted to make Karen's dreams come true. So this is how I created a French room, Southern style. Take a look at what we had to work with before. The walls were off-white and nondescript, and the side tables and lamps were a little too small for the room, and it had sort of become a catch-all for leftovers. You know, we all have a room like that. The lighting needed to be updated from a single lamp and overhead fan light kit to something more suited to an elegant bedroom. But we had an Eiffel Tower.
I had this Eiffel Tower collection. It started with my first miniature little Eiffel Tower that I bought in Paris. Then after that, they started coming out of the woodwork. I started getting them as gifts, but the one Denise is talking about is the one that was almost life-size, well,
oh, yeah.
Almost that tall. It went from room to room. I thought we'd put it outside. We had it by the fireplace. We had it by the front door. And Steve had had enough of Eiffel Towers. So I started giving most of them away, but he said we could keep some if we could relegate them to one room. Ergo, the French bedroom.
I wanted to bring in a refreshing color on the walls, and this Brookside moss was one of Karen's favorites. In fact, she had purchased a coverlet in this color, so I just used it as my inspiration for the wall. It really looks refreshing, and when we add our black and whites, it's a great contrast. Now for the bed. She already owned this bed and it looked like she had picked it up from a Paris flea market. I like the fact that it has a lot of swirls in it, and it has an acanthus leaf and also medallions throughout. Great for a jump off point for our bedding. Now for the bedding. I wanted to bring in the green again, that moss green, and for the main fabric, this is called a toile. Toile is just a French word for the calico print, and usually these were printed in a floral, sometimes a figure, and a landscape. It really looks great, and it brings in a lot of detail. This one's sort of a floral and also has some ironwork. And then you can see the details. This is a sham, and see the flouncy silk we added to the edge? This is so elegant. And as you can see in the front, we have two more pillows, and this one is our Paris. And look at the top of this. This is all in the white, and then at the very end, we've capped it with the green again.
I love macaroons. I love the city. I love the language. I love...
the kiss?
We can't do that, but...
Well, not on camera,
well,
no.
Since this was going to be Karen's room, I wanted something a bit more foo-foo for the window treatments. You know, lots of people install similar curtains with a simple scarf and two metal knobs, and this is nice, but it lacked the scale we needed for the large window to really pop. Now these window treatments match the room perfectly. We've reused that toile fabric, you know, the French fabric. We banded it in a green silk that goes all the way down to the bottom. Now look at the dressmaker details at the top. You know how we wanted to add a little foo-foo? Well, we've added a ruching at the top. And because we have the silk and the toile, we can actually move it any way we want and create a ruffle effect. Also, the hardware that we've used with the flower motif, it's just very whimsical and it looks great. Now here's a tip. Whenever you are creating a window treatment in a lower ceiling, take the window treatment as high as you can to the ceiling, and sometimes to the ceiling. That will make your ceiling heights look a little bit taller.
My favorite thing in that whole room, I would think, is the light fixture on the ceiling. I think that's just the little black and the little sparkles and all the blinginess.
Before, the room had a typical overhead fan with a light kit. This chandelier with the teardrop crystals really creates such a spectacular look. It's so sparkling, and you can see the leaf motif, and it has a bronze black finish. It has ample lighting in the room, and above you can see that it has a medallion that we've attached to the ceiling. This really caps our bedroom off perfectly. I added a couple of side tables. These are in a kind of a cream color, and then they have a little bit of a silver leafing over the top. In the stripe, it just gives a nice look. And on each of these bedside tables, we put these beautiful lamps. This is actually in a velvet cutaway, and it really looks good against the wall. And for a few accents for this wall, we took some of the black and white photography that Karen had taken while she was in Paris. And then we framed them out in large black frames. And this is always a great idea to put 4 together, especially if you don't have one large piece. It really makes a great accent for the wall, and it takes up a lot of the space on our big green wall. Now I want to show you how I addressed the fan situation. This fan takes the place of that overhead ceiling fan. See, there's other options, and it's rated really quiet. We purchased this bookcase because Karen, well, she travels a lot to Paris, and she has to put some of her Paris finds on it. That really completes the room and gives her a place to put all of her treasures.
Je voudrais visiter Paris.
I don't know what she called me, but...
And that means I love to visit Paris.
Oh, okay.
So if you too long to stand beneath the Eiffel Tower, well, hey, why not create a Parisian boudoir right in your own home? Get rid of those old bland walls and the light fixture. If you've got the overhead ceiling fan, get rid of that and opt for a bright pop of color, some French window treatments, and how about a chandelier? And I think that makes this room worthy of a ooh la la.